Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Lori Hoover, intuitive guide and medium. Together, let's wake the fuck up. Today's guest is an MA graduate in social and political sciences with a primary focus on human rights. Her website, in the name of humanrights.com, has stories on human trafficking, human rights, environmental rights, animal rights, veganism, justice, LGBT, politics, the news, current affairs, society, philosophy, and well-being and spirituality in general. She is also the author of Nyx, Freya, and Durga Deserts. Please welcome Cetvies to the show.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, nice to have you here.
Thank you, Lori.
So, Cetvies, you cover so many topics on your website, each one of which could have an episode of its own. Today, however, I'd like to talk about animal rights and veganism or vegetarianism. I've recently said this with regard to several different topics, but it bears repeating. We can no longer claim ignorance when it comes to these issues. There is so much information and documentation surrounding the horrible treatment of these animals, just the piss poor conditions that they're forced to live in, and even the ones who may be given more freedom to roam, their ultimate demise for our purposes. Humans can no longer afford to stick their heads in the sand and pretend that this isn't happening or pass it off as someone else's problem. Now, I've put together a list of some of the documentaries that provide information about this. I'd like to cover briefly, just name a couple of them, and then let's just jump in. I haven't done this before on the show, but I only came with 2 questions for you today. So I just want to have a conversation and see where this goes. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
The first one that comes to mind for me is called Food Inc. And this came out in 2008, I believe. And it talks about the mammoth corporations that are running all aspects of the food chain here in the United States. There was also The Game Changers, I believe 2018, and that talks about the truth about meat, protein, and its relation to strength. And then there was Kiss the Ground just in 2020, and that talks about regenerative agriculture to save the planet's topsoil and combat climate change. Cetvies, my first question for you is, what was the catalyst for you to dive into the areas of study in human, animal, and environmental rights?
Well, I would link this with ignorance by many means. Talking about ignorance, I absolutely agree with you saying that we don't have rights, but entirely we've lost this opportunity of denial, right? Because of also being in Western society where hunger is a thing of the past for the moment, right? Relating to hunger or to famines, it is a very well-known fact that it is better to have a plant-based diet than animal-based diet, because simply for biological fact is that to raise an animal, they have to themselves eat plants. So they are further down the chain. So the amount of water dedicated to raise poor animals for them to be slaughtered, anyhow, it's like the comparison is that you need 10 times more kind of veg or green or plants to feed an animal that will feed someone else. So I think that the mass media, is true that in mainstream, you can find it on YouTube and so forth, things eat the awareness and or if you are interested in it, like organization, the fighting meeting, and then you see what's happening in slaughterhouses. Well, there's not such thing as killing ethically. Yeah, there is no such thing as killing, certainly not on top of it, innocent animal that are brought up for this aim and are defenseless and so forth. There is not such things. But what is very amusing as well, it's revealing is that, like greenwashing, for example, in France, we know it, we are a farmer kind of country, from a lot of based on farming. And there is advertisement saying, oh, big brands are doing it. Oh, our chicken are in open air and, they've got a good life and blah, blah, blah. And at the moment we have in France, we are lucky enough to have a successful organization. And what they do is that they spy on slaughterhouses and they deliver the horror of slaughterhouses, and including slaughterhouses that are used by these big companies saying to their customers, yeah, don't worry, our hens, they are a happy life, our cows, they breathe the air, they chomp grass and so forth. And in fact, it's all the opposite. You end up by the same amount of any other torture and decay and disease and neglect and all over the place. Also, what he's telling is that religion had his weight on it, because like for decades and decades, even in international law, you could marriage, quote unquote, kids, yes, had been tampered down, saying no, because it's cultural, it's traditional, it's full religious custom and so forth. And it's only less than, it's 5 years ago, but it's been recognized child marriage as being, well, a case of sex slavery, a
Right.
case of human trafficking, only 5 years, right? Because as religion, this religion had found a way to all impunity put children into slavery. The same applies for killing animals. That is to say, you can torture an animal forever by the way you're gonna cut his throat, and no one is gonna say anything. But the fact that the animal is recognized as being sentient and so forth is not taken into account anymore, because the way of religion is heavier than this, right? So I would add something about ignorance that worries me a little bit, is in the context of not knowing animals. Because we might have been lucky enough to live in some kind of countryside. In the US, for example, the number of people is very few compared to the territory and so forth. In other places, transportation is difficult, and people that live in town, they don't even have the opportunity any longer to meet other species. And then ignorance is back on you, because basically you have no link, you have no knowledge at that point. Certainly even more now, because of the rate of us destroying everything that might shelter the species. So but yeah, and what very worries me as well is the cultural part of it, where culture are just happy to celebrate killing and slaughtering. Is just a part of a feast, basically.
Yes, and it's horrifying the number of people that will kill an animal and then post the picture of that kill on social media, for instance.
Just for hunting. Hunters is what they openly do, whether they are coward and sick enough to do it in Africa on species, endangered species, or they do it because countryside are everywhere, so ruined that anyhow they are not wild species, so they are more or less domesticated species of pheasant and so forth, that released the day before being shot just like that. I mean, on top of it, it has become really an activity for cowards and lazy about. And there's, for me, hunting is really correlating with this. Is you are with your firearm, and it's a discrete, dissimulated way, I think, of saying that territory is yours. And the first what you do is that you remove of other species. Yes.
There was a documentary that came out. It was called The Animal People, and it came out in 2019, I believe. And it was essentially showing how these people were campaigning against the world's largest animal testing lab. And what happened as a result is there was government surveillance, there were laws that were rewritten, and these people were indicted for domestic terrorism because they were campaigning against this animal testing lab.
Yeah.
I've been helping in any way that I can, whether it was donations or whatever, since I was a
Mm,
kid,
mhm.
literally, as far as this through, there was the Doris Day Animal League, which I don't know if it's still, I'm assuming it would be, but I was just a kid. And this has always been in the front of my mind, but I guess I back then was also ignorant of this because I think it's when you're raised eating meat, that's just the norm for you.
Mm,
You might not know any different, that there is another choice. And then
mm,
to see these documentaries, especially if you live in the city and are really truly unaware of how these animals are treated. And I've watched some of these documentaries, and I
yeah.
got to tell you, it was very difficult for me to even complete.
We need those documentary for people to watch. I agree with you. In France, we had Brigitte Bardot doing it
Mm,
30 years ago. So I was a
yeah.
kid. It shocked me enough. And after that, the weight of culture went all over me again, thinking, oh, I had a physical job and, I became a vegetarian for a few years. And then I came back eating a little bit meat, thinking, I need that to survive. Also, you've got the opportunity, the culture within the cuisine, because it is true that if you don't find a lot of beans, different kind of beans, different kind of dals, different kinds of lentils, different kind of oil and nuts and herbs and everything, then it's less easy, it's more expensive if you don't find all of that, and you would lose on nutritive quality. Yeah, we absolutely needed that. Me, like you say, this documentary, when I came back into trying to spread the information and so forth. I watched them, yeah, and it's so upsetting. I was already a vegan, yeah, but what triggered that trigger in me, what it triggered in me is yes, I need to talk more about that, yeah. I can't just let it as a personal choice or, I can't watch them any longer. I mean, it's clearly for psychopath, right? It's the endless torture of animal in laboratory in slaughterhouses and sometimes is the owner doing things like it's just, yeah, it's endless torture. But so yeah, I think we've got a problem with communication though, because it's absolutely not everybody who saws the consequence of them eating it and what it means by you kill a baby lamb. I mean, and also a thing that is revolting is how many people revolting that let you wonder in a way or another, is it cultural? Is it because of not putting to question things? Because my opinion is that it might happen for some time, but after a while, if you are lucky enough to, what definitely made me turn into a vegetarian again, and absolutely I would stable way, yeah, but I would have never come back to anything else. It was a bit stupid. It was on the road and so I knew cars in their meadows, right? So as I knew animals over domestic animals, and I resumed a little bit eating meat and fish, and kind of regularly I would see cows trying to breathe the last air breathing before going to the slaughterhouse. And I thought, but wait a minute, you know about those cows, you know about the calf and so forth. They are animals. They are just adorable, yeah? Even if they may be dangerous, well, they are dangerous because it's like that. They are being in all their features, right? And how on earth you as me as an animal lover, yeah, would ever think that is normal that this girl is going to die today, right? And I stopped. And it's you have this process once, twice, three times, and at one point you are, I think, some kind of revelation and you stop doing it. But I admit you still have to do that. Me, what one of the things that repel me the most is animal lovers. We've got it all, yeah. Who had this opportunity of having cats at home, having dogs at home. Cats is bit particular because they are carnivore, that is to say, from where the science know they kind of need of meat because they cannot transform vegetable protein into their own protein, something like this, right? people what they know that they go and they shift, or they have some kind of responsibility in organization that is supposed to protect nature or to protect animal rights, and themselves they are meat eater, right? It's an aspect of a human psyche that I don't get, because the only thing that I think you can get from that is that there is also a problem with our animal relationship, is a relationship of ownership. There's people who say they love animal, but in fact, for example, something that is in our culture, our grandparents tend to leave the dogs outside. Okay, we are not at the same level and so forth. So, okay, you can maybe understand where I come from. But for example, animal lover who have dogs at home, and the dogs will never eat their food, their own food. Yeah, dogs are 100% better at smelling, taste, and so forth. They are masters of us in that kind of ability, but the master now are very happy giving them a diet that they wouldn't fancy by any stretch of imagination themselves. What I mean is that sometimes it's like in social services, you would think that the people that are there for the kids, and you realize that it's sometimes people that are there because of chance, or sometimes it's even more gloomy for gloomy reasons. So yeah, I'm astonished at human culture that end up with ASPCA bosses that would treat you as a weirdo because you are vegan, and that does exist also. Yeah. So no, we can't claim there is, these people cannot. But I think that it's what is worrying again, because of problem is hoping for progress, is that for me, the torture and the relationship we have with animals are clearly directly related with the relationship we have with ourselves, or within the species. But yes, modern slavery is rampant in some part of the globe. It's not rampant in everywhere, but in a way, it's how this global economy works as well. Yes, there's war crime in Ukraine at the moment. Yes, we are killing the planet. We are certainly killing next generations doing that. And we are killing species by the hundreds. Big mammals will all but disappear in a few decades. But yeah, so after all of that, we find ourselves not wondering that at least we could improve our diet and stop at least in this daily impunity for eating murdered flesh. And no, it doesn't even ring bells. So
I think that part of this as well is there is this sort of belief within the species that because we have the ability to contain and capture these animals, breed them, that because we possess the power to do so, that it gives us the right, that they are less than us, that they do not have the same, they
but
don't have the same right
this
to
question
exist.
This question just mesmerized me for long, and I think I kind of find the answer partly, yeah, because it's a lot in the discourse, but it makes everyone laugh, because how dumb are these cows, like looking if they don't have a care in the world with their babies at their side, and like chewing their grass, and not perceiving that they are deemed good for the slaughterhouses. Yeah, I mean, me is what I felt like emotionally when I'm on trains, on buses or whatever, and I look at them and they look at me back, and I'm thinking, but I don't have a right to look at them, because I'm one who knows where she's going, and it just wrecked my heart. Yeah, but in a way, we are in the same position. Yes, we are in the same position. we are living like kind of kings at times, right? But we know it's not that we know by instinct. It's not that we know that, or maybe we will hear 20 minutes before the cry of one who is being slaughtered and so forth. Is that every time we open a serious book or on news and so forth, we know that the bank system crooked as ever possible, right? The guys who mock the economy, who vampirize everybody, get away with bonuses. They don't just get away, yeah? Kind of, one escaped, or so there's too many escaping or something like that. No. They get away with bonuses, those guys, right? The industry, this also is starting. I had an argument 10 years ago with a woman who wrote a book about how to be environmental friendly as a citizen. Yeah. And so that was a good book. Yeah, I was very appreciative reading it because there are tips about saving energy and so forth. But her position was that no, it was at the citizen level, at the personal level, and it should not be a matter of coercion. Yes, but the industry has to go on because of the god that is called growth, industrial growth, and so forth. And this is dumb, but it's completely dumb, because when you see, even if you do the best at home, even if you are horrid, yeah, inside your home, and between what you can witness, the amount of pollution produced by industries or factories that are unregulated or that are regulated but that don't respect it. It's one was of my point in France, is because these organizations, and there's a few as well on factories, is that they proved that there's laws, right, for animal rights, animal well-being, let's say.
Welfare,
Yes,
right?
welfare, thank you. During slaughtering, yeah, there is laws, yes, but you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that. If you film what they do exactly what is not allowed. And the result, yeah, there is people, and just like you say, people that risk everything. They risk everything because more and more the police treat them as domestic terrorism, or because they will say, you filmed something that is a private property, so it means that you enter inside without permission, so boom, the law is against you, and so forth. So people who take great risk, yeah? And the problem is take great risk, but they are taking greater and greater risk, yeah? Because the legislation is less and less for them, and is more and more protect more and more the industrial and the factories owner and so forth. Well, if they show the face of the plus of the French consumer, because as I said, yeah, if they are clever, they do it. So we had big brands for ravioli, for ready to eat meal and so forth, big brands.
Sure.
But that we've seen their advertisements. I was a kiddo, yeah. As a little kid, the TV was starting almost being popularized, and we were all watching those cute ad. And 30 years after, the state of their business is as dirty as ever, as filthy as ever. So these guys, they prove the amount of torture that they practice inside the slaughterhouse. So, that the ends, that they walk on top of each other, they can't. All of this. And the way it takes 10 minutes before the cars finally fall, and so forth, right? And though they proved it, yeah, with videos and so forth, the vets, they are proved being complacent. So they say, yeah, no problem, it's good state. Yeah, papa's good. The mark is all good, yeah. Thereafter, you find this same slaughterhouse being in breach of 30 big points of breaching animal welfare, yeah. It goes into in front of a procurer, goes in a trial, and judges, no problem. No, you can go on. Nothing is closed. Nothing is fine. If it's fine, it's like 500 unfortunate euros. Yeah. While when you are a journalist and you start trying to uncover information, documents about that, then you risk thousands and thousands of euros of fine.
If not something worse.
If a judge deemed that you didn't make your case, because also the final destination is a judge. And what happened during trial is that these guys, they have the authority. As a journalist or so forth, you can't prove everything. That is to say, you can prove something a wrongdoing, and then the judge should be able to ask one person to say, look, it is official, it is a legal requirement for you to have this document, right? Can you give it to me for me to judge if you have done your work properly? Like are you I don't know, how you get rid of waste, for example, right? And then if a person is not able to give you this paper, you know that investigation is due, is needed. But function of a judge in that kind of situation is to say to journalists, you don't have proof enough. The burden of proof is on you. Yeah, they won't use any of their authority to say, oh yes, you're right, there's a problem, let's investigate. They instigate nothing, these guys. And the same in France, since they investigate nothing, the one judge that will try to worry a little bit the mafia at Marseille, well, famously, because it's famous in France, because it's one of our big judicial scandal, and he made a great movie about it as well. The only judge, or the only two judges that try to worry the mafia a little bit, were assassinated, period. And no one is here to replace them. Already was a wonder how they managed to arrive to their chair. But
one thing that needs to be looked at in regard to that is that the government people, they're crooked. They take bribes in the form of lobbyists, lobbying, literally legalized bribery. That's lobbying right there. And because of that, they get away with so much shit. And it's just, the people need to understand what all of this is actually doing to the planet, to our bodies. I'm not vegan, not yet, but I'm in the process. And it's just the convenience factor of like fast food and stuff like that. It is a difficult thing if you don't have a very strong reason within you to make the change. It's a process for me.
To come back to our documentaries, I think this is great to understand, because it is true, I admit it is very easy to disconnect what you eat and what is it basically, yeah. But when you see animals suffering, I think it's enough. Like watching it until the brain says, okay. But I admit it's an industry problem, and it's why I think it's more than deeply in our culture. It's more than this. I think it's, like you say, lobby and pressure group saying, look, even for society that is hungry for injustice and hungry for anything bloody, it is better if these people eat blood. And here it is, because it's one of the first of a betrayal is to make sure that every day you don't care about eating being.
I'm going to take a quick break, pay some bills, and then we'll be right back.
Yeah.
Perhaps you've thought about starting your own podcast. I can tell you firsthand that starting a podcast was one of the best decisions I have ever made, but it can feel overwhelming if you don't know how to get started. Well, that's where Buzzsprout comes in. Buzzsprout is hands down the easiest and best way to launch a professional podcast. In fact, it's so good, they've already helped over 100,000 people launch their own podcasts. Buzzsprout will get your podcast into every major podcasting platform like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. You also get a great-looking podcast website, audio players you can drop into other websites, detailed analytics to see how people are listening, tools to promote your episodes, and on and on. Plus, Buzzsprout publishes new blog posts, podcast episodes, and YouTube videos every week, so you can learn the ins and outs of podcasting from the people who eat, drink, and breathe it. To start your own podcast and get a $20 Amazon gift card, follow the link in the show notes. This lets Buzzsprout know that we sent you and helps support our show. Buzzsprout, the easiest way to start a podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. back to what you were just saying, I do feel that there is a horrible, horrible lack of compassion in today's society. There are so many people who make jokes about PETA, let's say, people for the ethical treatment of animals. People will take that acronym and turn it into something else. People eating tasty animals. Some people are just assholes. That mentality, it is that whole we're better.
Or
And
I'm not aware. A joke as well, it's, a joke is for bonding and so forth. Or there is this possibility of not being aware because we are more and more disconnected with nature. And then
yes,
there is the problem of being connected with nature, but connected with nature in order to play the master of it, in a devilish sense of it, yeah? It is only that thinking, the God allows me to slaughter one of the creatures. It doesn't make sense. And so for an adult, well-formed adult, well-thinking, well-aware of societal strategy and so forth, it's just the only sense it might make is that you're not talking about God here.
it's not even just about the animals either, in that it's deforestation and we're losing all this, the rainforest and things like that. And it's our fault. It is our fault that all of this is going on. And it's just that, I don't know what it is. I think it goes beyond a lack of compassion. It's just, the word that I'm looking for escapes me at the moment. But
when I'm looking for rational thinking beyond this, I think it's simply, for me, it's war. Yeah, I think we are kind of we are still people in the Western world again. Yeah, it's like of a quote unquote still in a state of grace, kind of, because it's still not here. But for me, the only rational reason that could explain us killing everything and just grabbing everything this way, it's desperate way, because when you do things without compassion, like you say, yeah, and without balance and worrying about what is around you and so forth. Even if you have the most intelligent creature on earth, right? You just are becoming dummier and dummier and dummier. It's a false kind of intelligence. You have peak of intelligence. You can use things around you, but in fact, the momentum is about destruction. Yeah. So it's, yeah, the only thing that I feel yes, I think I know why government wouldn't go from all solar energy. The energy that should only be allowed, the energy
right,
from the sun, from the wind, and from the water, that's things that are here in any case, right?
yeah,
But no, we are going for nuclear yet again, while yet again, this I know it because I'm French, because French are nuclear power and they are still rather independent journalism around. So we know that, for example, our nuclear waste, it's one of the big, if we survive World War III, World War IV, or whatever, yeah, if we survive that, yeah, the one of the most, and after all the species goes extinct and so forth, one of the big problem that people will face on this earth is about the waste, nuclear waste, that the Russian just dug everything under the water. Maybe there is some in Arctic and Antarctic, whatever. I don't know what other nations do with them. And in France, we have this weird habit of we cementing things. So you've got nuclear waste that will go on for millions of years, yeah. And what they come up with, like idea, is to you dig, and you protect it with armed cement. Is it something? Is this something? Like reinforced cement. Yes.
Right. Yes.
But cement it lives like 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, maybe not more than that, right? Really, it should never have been done, and is done by the kilos.
I think that the thing that we need to really work at as far as that intelligence goes is our emotional intelligence, because without having a strong basis in that, in just humanitarianism, our humanity.
I think emotional intelligence have been used to control things as well, to smooth things over. Yeah, emotional intelligence, for example, if you work within social services, yeah, if you work in a place where there is nothing going on, yeah, so you've got kids. And instead of trying to educate them, to bring them up, so that will occasion conflict, or, that you need to, and there's nothing to do, yeah? There is no schools around because for some reason they don't go. There's no homework around. It's just people, it's just kids, but they are here. And you let them go until they are 18, and after they are off the street, yeah? This is, in some places, is the state of social servicing, yeah, services, yeah. What they do, the professional that still like their job and that still do it well, but without any means. So they are trying to do well, and they do well with what they have, but they have nothing in order to really fulfill the role it would have supposed to, it was supposed to be as an educator and so forth. They play on emotional intelligence, and it's true, is a true treasure, yeah, to induce, I don't know, to induce peace or resilience, or like compassion, understanding understanding one's own emotion and one thought process. And it's very important, but it's not enough to, it has been used as a way to cope with the system as well, yeah. So
there are already things in place for this, such as Meatless Mondays. We've got Meatless May and Compassionate Consumers. And I think that the latter two were introduced by Ian Somerhalder. But based on your experiences and your current areas of expertise, if you could give just one thing for someone, what would you recommend for someone to help them wake the fuck up in this particular area? Where would you have somebody start? If they're walking that line, wanting to do something, wanting to make a change, but not really sure where to start, where would you guide them? What would you have them do?
On veganism, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I think I would tap into the pleasure of being a vegan. We talked about loving animals, right? So yes, I would. If they were in this situation, they don't know about being connected to an animal, I would recommend 100%. Like I would recommend to parents to have an animal friend for their kids 500%, because it's different attitude, it's different sense, it's different instinct, and it's different intelligence. And this teach the hell of a lot to a kid or to any being, but maybe to kids in particular, because not in particular, but at least you have this inner thing into you when you are kid. Is like languages, or it's like your homework is better if you start early. So and this connection, so me, I would be completely pro reinviting farm, but not farm to kill, like goats in town and cars in town and horses, and like animals in town to be our
Mm.
companion. Yeah, 100%. It should be, for me, this should be in every town, and in fact, it should be in every quarter. Yeah, and also with path around trees, instead of us logging trees more and more everywhere, including. So this I would, but also when this connection has been, you've got a second step that we have, is that to realize what we as a society, and when I say we, I say vegan as well, yeah, because we are in this society and we know what is what is happening, right? So but the murders, the slaughtering that is going around. So this is a second thing that I think you need to be really, really aware of, to understand that all this shit about animal welfare, while in fact even if it's a perfect life, perfect death, the philosophy of it is that you look after animals to say, hey, maybe, yeah, for me to eat, yeah, while you be even healthier being a vegetarian, and yeah, you lose nothing, yeah. I mean, there's people who say, no, okay, it's good, it's healthy, I know, but the taste, I can't do it, which is absolutely bullshit, because any taste is replaceable, and if you are a good cook vegetarian, as a vegan or as a vegetarian, you reinvent the taste. You can go do, I mean, I'm not good at cooking, yeah, but you can reinvent caramelize, you can reinvent spice, you can do it. It's not even yeah. And even if it was, me, I can get unhealthy. For example, yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky because I've got all of this cheap and varied vegan source around me. Yeah, but even if one day maybe I could quit veganism because there's nothing around me anymore. So I've got to go back to vegetarianism, right? But if you are aware of you killing another being and so forth, but for your spirituality, for your moral sense, for your mind, for your soul, and for your body. But even if the body is, it's hard to be vegetarian, but you just stay vegetarian. You find other solution, or you live with it. Because in a way, you have to find your universe to make you realize this imbecile fact that you just don't kill another being like that. And on top of it, is your responsibility as a human being, because like you say, you have the power of saying, oh, you know what, the law allows me, so I'm gonna do this the quick way, yeah. But the third thing would be to have fun being vegan, because it's so healthy. I mean, for example, we have a Find the Day campaign, and it's for years. Yeah, it means that you need that. What it means is that when you want to be healthy, you need 5 portions a day. You've got to have 5 portions of fruit
Fruits and
or of veg.
vegetables.
And when you are serious at it, 5 portions a day, it's, when you had 2 bananas and you still have a piece of veg that you need to cook or whatever, it's still a job, yeah, to keep you busy with 5 a day, yeah. But yeah, it's just so healthy to be vegan. To realize that yes, one of our motto is our body is not a cemetery, yeah. I admit, plants, I love plants. And I think we live I love plants. So myself, I don't like killing plants or whatever, right? But animal, we have this closer collection, yeah? So we have to start somewhere, and this somewhere is there, yeah? And it's under, and people talk about grace, but grace is this, yes, is to find a way, not being in this prison, having to kill others to satisfy something else, yeah. yeah, great pleasure being vegan, because your body is just the right thing. Yeah, it's just yeah, healthy.
From an energetic standpoint, what I have found, because I am a medium, I'm a psychic, and eating animal proteins or any sort of animal derived food, it has a lower vibration than plants. And so it literally weighs you down, not just in weight, but in energy, which it actually hinders your ability to connect to your higher self or
I'm
God
sure.
or whatever. And it makes a difference. It really,
I'm
truly
sure.
makes a difference.
It's fluid.
Yeah.
What you eat as a vegan is fluid. It's like primal energy. So anyhow, you are building your beast on it. Yeah.
Yes.
And also is in our perspective, it's pure, because it's just that is that you didn't you have to eat. Bon, this we are at that we have to eat, and we have to try to help our body being. But you didn't commit this murder. It's just simple as that. That you eat a corpse. Basically, we have to acknowledge that it's a corpse that you cooked, right? And it's fluid. It's just so good, the amount, and it makes you strong. There is no it's pure, it's primal, it's from the earth. Yeah, and spiritually, you didn't commit the biggest sin.
We're going to have to wrap it up here. Before we do, though, is there anything that you would like to add before we finish up?
Go vegan. Yeah, vegan for life. So I would yeah, this is more minimalized. It's not minimalizing it, but it is true that in life it sometimes it's so hard. You are aware of things and you campaign and you are aware of things, but in fact, you for example, you will work in an industry where you notice that how much you pollute, and out of experience, you know that you can't really fight it, or at least you can't fight it in block, or you can't find it efficiently enough, even if you can start doing some improvement, because of the competition, because of the deregulation, because if ever you start moving things, you will be listed as an employee that doesn't go with the flow, and that is not possible to do it more than once or twice, because the world is as it is neo-capitalism, and if you're not following these rules, you are in serious trouble. But on veganism, right, this is, I think is the real one of the real customers' opportunities to change things around, because it's true that what you eat is what you are, okay? But what you eat, no one will eat like the industry that would produce. For example, you compare someone that doesn't take a bus, but go walking, saying, yes, I'm saving your petrol and so forth. And the neighbor is going every year or twice a year, and to the other side of the world, and then just explode the pollution amount, you see, or because you have a work you like, and that you need to take the plane yourself, even if a Zoom call would have sufficed, but you have to do that kind of thing, yeah. And then you feel completely powerless, because even if you do it for your own soul, but you can do whatever you can do, you do, yeah. But veganism is not the same thing, because veganism, no one is gonna eat a plane when he needs the size of a plate. So it's like the competition is on, basically, yes. And thinking to yourself that every time at least you didn't kill another being just to to eat this like a damn idiot, that then it's something good. It's something, I think it's something good on your mind. But you
Sure.
know, it is so hard to do something positive in life when you want to say to big industry, yeah, you have to stop because we are all dying at this rate, yeah. But veganism is one of the things that is not tiny, but my weight, at least weight on in your life. Yes, I didn't buy murder.
It is a way for us to take a stand against all of that.
Yeah, and efficiently, because is what happen if me myself, I have for work to take planes. Before I ended up in trouble at work trying to do recycling and using less product and so forth, and I didn't have problem. And a few years later, I have to take a plane to go to work, yeah, for a long time, yeah, but I had to, yeah. And I thought to myself, but you know, you fought for months for this amount of plastic that anyhow every day you buy, because in supermarket they haven't been clever enough to make plastic free. So you buy plastic in any
Right.
case, and just like this, you have to take a pen, and if everything explodes on your carbon print, yeah. But veganism is in something you can, yeah, you can have this satisfaction, and this it's good for the soul to think to
Right.
yourself at the end of his life, at least you won't have a chicken a day, right?
Absolutely. This has been a wonderful conversation, and I feel it's much needed. So I thank you very much, Cetvies, for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, thank you very
Oh,
much.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, it was a pleasure, very much. And I'd like to also thank everyone who tuned in today. As always, I'm grateful for your presence, and I'll look forward to seeing you all back here next Sunday with another episode as we continue to wake the fuck up.